Hello, I promised you that I'd come back with another video about summer wells. I've been wanting to run this case through something called horary astrology, and it's something that I'm just learning, okay? We all have kind of like specialties, and that hasn't been one of mine, but I am very interested in it, and so I reached out to a horary astrologer. She's quite knowledgeable. She's pretty much an expert, and so I'm not going to take credit for all this research because a lot of it came from her, and if at some point she wants me to credit her, I will be glad to do that. I'm going to talk to her about that, and if she decides she wants her information put in the description box below or whatever, I'll do that. So anyway, without any further blah blah blah, I wanted to first address something about the moon void of course. I've mentioned this before in previous videos. The moon was void of course when she went missing, and I think the moon was in the late degrees of Leo and at that time. But I also did some research on the day she was born. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the previous video or not, but in case I didn't, on the day she was born, the moon was void of course for some time. It may not have been void of course at the time she was born because there was a window of time that it was void of course. It's usually just a few hours, okay, but it was void of course between 5:03 a.m. and 7:44 p.m. So the void of course moon, you know, could be a big factor in this. But anyway, I'm going to move on. Let's see. First, Neptune is in retrograde in the first. And right here, I have the first house at 26 degrees Aquarius. Okay? And Neptune is here in Pisces because the first house goes from 26 degrees Aquarius all the way to 2 degrees of Aries. And so that puts Neptune in the first house, but it is in retrograde. And whenever in a chart you see an RX, that means retrograde. Okay? And so the moon is in the 8th in this chart. Okay, let's see, that would be, here. Okay, because the moon is in Libra at 18 degrees, okay? And let's see, and the ruler of the 8th, let's see here, the ruler of the 8th is, let's see here, the 8th, where is it? The ruler of the 8th. Okay, the ruler of the 8th is Venus, which rules Libra. Okay, Venus is over here in the 6th, right here, at 15 degrees Leo. And so that kind of implies that maybe the last time, or near the last time she was seen, she was running some sort of errands or something. It could have been to go into the house to get something, because the 6th house is about errand running and short, you know, not short trips, but kind of like jobs and things like that. And of course, she wasn't employed or anything like that, but it's my understanding that she had been working in the garden. So anyway, that doesn't mean that she was last seen running errands or anything like that. It's just a question that comes up in the major context of this horary astrology. Okay, so Venus, because the moon is in the 8th, which rules preschool children, okay, is going to be the significator, to signify the missing person, okay? So, again, that's the ruler of Libra, and it's in retrograde. And so when it's in retrograde, when a horary question is asked, it means typically the person will be found or seen again. It doesn't really say whether or not, the condition of the person, whether or not they were still living or not. But Venus retrograde, and Venus being her significator, to signify her, suggests that she will be found. And I have believed that all along. If I didn't, I wouldn't continue to pursue this path. I know that there's many, many, many hours over the last 2 years that I have researched this case, and most of them, of course, are not on video. It's all private study and things like that, and consulting with other astrologers, people that know more than I do. I would say that the list of things I don't know about astrology is a lot longer than the list of things I do know about astrology. And so then we have the moon's final aspect. Basically, how things turn out in the end is the moon's final aspect in the chart. And it's going to be to Pluto, which is over here in the 12th of this particular, of the horary chart. Okay, and so since it's going to make its last aspect to Pluto in the 12th, it suggests, of course, someone is hiding something about the situation. Okay, I'm not going to speculate on who that is or whatever, but it does suggest that. And Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and Scorpio rules a lot of different things, as I've discussed before. It's known as the house of partnership, more like inheritances and things like that. Of course, the sign of Scorpio, death, birth, rebirth, regeneration, the occult. It rules astrologers, things like the mafia, the secret service, secret operations, things like that. And so, let's see, the moon is also going to aspect Uranus. Uranus is over here in the 3rd house in Taurus right now. And it's kind of in the later degrees, 20-something, I think it's 26 or something, I have to look it up. It's going to aspect the 3rd house in about 4 degrees, which is maybe a week or two from now. It's actually a week. So, we could be hearing some important news about this case, something along those lines. Probably, most people are probably going to get it from their phone or their computer, because not a lot of people, I know people are sitting around watching their TVs, but most people are in their phones and their computers, and so, Uranus kind of rules, technology and things like that. And the moon rules preschool-age children, again, like I've said before. And so I believe some news will come out very soon about her. Venus is also combust. And what that indicates is, since that's her significator from this particular chart, from this horary chart, it's like when it's combust, that's like a harsh aspect, and so there would be something that she would be lacking or needing, things like lack of money, lack of freedom, lack of time, things like that. And Venus is also going to aspect Jupiter, which is the ruler of the 10th. Okay, and over here is the 10th. Okay, and it's in Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules things like foreigners, strangers. It rules equestrian activities, things like horses and that sort of thing. So anything that Sagittarius rules. will be involved in this 10th house. Now, the 10th house rules things like fame and news, the news in general. Okay, and let's see here. It is, let me look at my notes here. Okay. With the Venus and Jupiter aspecting each other, and Jupiter being the ruler of the 10th house, that indicates things coming to light, so to speak. I'm sorry I got lost there for a minute. Right now the moon is at 19 degrees, which is here, or 18 or 19 degrees. And so what it's going to do is the moon is going to move to the 28 degree mark. And then when that happens, it's going to make its last aspect to the chart. And so, that indicates, something coming to light, like I said earlier. When it comes to missing and lost people, things, whatever, you follow the moon, so to speak, in horary astrology. And it has recently passed over Venus because we have Venus down here, right here. Okay, and so the moon goes in this direction, and it recently passed over Venus. Okay, it's passed over Mercury, Mars, and here it is in Libra, right there. And it's going to keep transiting, and it's going to aspect key points in the horary chart. And that's kind of what I'm trying to explain as far as what's happening here. Okay, the next aspect is going to be to Uranus. Okay, now Uranus, let's see here, it is, where is Uranus? It's right here in Taurus, like I said, in the 20-something degree area. And the third house, which is right here between 8 degrees Taurus and 8 degrees Gemini, rules questions in general, because it rules things like grade school, students, in the younger years. Sagittarius would rule the later years, college and all that. So, let's see. All right. To see how something turns out in horary astrology, you look at the 4th house, which is the end of the matter. And it looks like the moon is going to be last aspecting Pluto as the last aspect. And the way it ends up with Pluto in the 4th indicates, in horary astrology, and these are theories, that this is a person that is maybe confined or trapped, or, and of course we know that she's missing, and probably, somebody took her, and like I said, don't really know a whole lot of details, but it does indicate the way the moon and Pluto are aspecting each other, and Venus being combust. It indicates that, she is confined somehow. The signifier is in Cancer, of course. Let's see here. The signifier. Okay, the signifier, also the moon, because it rules preschool age children. Okay, the 4th house. Okay, Cancer rules the home, and so this suggests that she's in some sort of home right now at the time the question was asked, which was, I'll get into asking a horary question, but Cancer is ruled by the moon, and it's in the 8th right now, or it was at the time of the question, indicating that she's most likely in an older home, probably antiques, older things, maybe things like makes you think of things like deer heads and that sort of thing, that kind of idea, not a modern environment. So that's what I can surmise right now using horary astrology. Now I'll explain what horary astrology is. Horary astrology is where you ask the universe a question, and then using the Koch, K-O-C-H, the Koch house system, you go to the astro.com and you enter the date and the time and the place that a question was asked, okay? And you put that in, and it generates a chart, and then you plot that chart, or the chart's already plotted. I just put it on this board because that's just how I work through these things. And so anyway, that's what horary astrology is. It's the birth of a question. You ask the universe a question, and then spit out the chart from your computer, print it off, or look at it on your cell phone or whatever. But I like to print it off, and then I like to plot it up here on the dry erase board. And then you follow certain rules, horary astrology rules, in order to reach conclusions. So to recap, I believe within the next few weeks we will hear something important about the case. According to these rules, she is in some sort of a house or home, an older place. Antiques come to mind and things like that. And if you'll remember, when the 911 call went out, Saturn was conjunct her sun, and Saturn rules antiques and old things, and you get the idea. And so I think that's telling. If you go back to her birth chart, and I think Saturn's at 14 degrees Aquarius in the 911 call back in 2021. And then the sun, when she was born in 2016, was at 15 degrees, and they are combust here. Means they're conjunct. They're at harsh aspect. So this may have been suggesting at that time that she was in some sort of an older home, or somewhere where there was like antiques or something like that. Maybe a old vehicle. I'm really not sure. But like I said, I can't speculate on whether or not she is still with us. I'm not comfortable doing that. I know a lot of people feel like she's not, but I feel like I'm talking about somebody's baby, somebody's child. And I'm sensitive to that because anybody could see this. And, I have my baby's 29. He'll be 30 soon. And so, I understand what it's like to be a mother and everything. And so I don't want to say, astrology says she's passed away, or astrology says she hasn't passed away. I just want to try to give an overview of the suggestions and hints that astrology can give. And I pray that she's still with us. I pray that she's found safe. I truly do. And I really, really appreciate your time. And again, law enforcement does not consider these kind of videos to be viable tips. And so I would appreciate it if you would not submit this video to law enforcement. And I'm sure they would probably appreciate it too. So, without any further blah, 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 I wish you a good evening. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.